This idea that discrimination is bad always struck me as odd and really sleazy, because when we strip away all values and standards, we're left with a really, really low bar. Excellence fades away, as we've seen. Everyone gets a medal. You see, the thing you start to realize is that when you don't discriminate, when you approve of everything, when you love everything, you effectively love nothing. I came across a video of a morning talk show recently here where they just recycle what they tend to recycle every week or so to get people watching, which is the unfair body image that women have to endure. Usually they don't say it's from themselves and from other women. They somehow infer that it's from men, but they were trying to push that real women look fat and big, and that we should do away with the fit, thin, or better looking body image, and it's somehow discrimination to hold that up as a sign of excellence, as a standard, and that we should discriminate on the other end of the spectrum, the lazy, unattractive, low standards. I find this way of thinking exasperating and tiring. There's this negative connotation that they've attached to discrimination that I think is quite sleazy in the way they dismiss the standards involved in discrimination. Because here's the thing, when you don't discriminate, then you love and you understand and you embrace. You embrace the devil, you embrace the bad, you embrace the corrupt, you embrace villains and the sinister aspects of society. We're somehow meant to see them all on an equal playing field somehow. They're all horizontal. There's no hierarchy, The moment you try and raise anything that could be good or disciplined or get people out of trouble, the system's done a good job to make people intellectually and actionably lazy. And our culture today, with the system's backing and enforcement through the law, actually doesn't like you discriminating, doesn't like you generalizing towards statistics, to actually make the picture clear and say, look, the generalized statistics that I'm discriminating towards show that X and Y is true. And people don't like to look at that because the vast majority of us, especially today compared to days gone by where discrimination towards excellence actually meant rational survival. Now if you discriminate, if you generalize, if you hold yourself to a standard, if you spotlight the standard, you're silenced, you're censored. The mediocre has been elevated because the mediocre have disposable income. When you look at, say, high standards, the person who discriminates and who's disciplined will save his money. He won't spend frivolously. He will defer gratification. He will have values, virtues, and standards by which he discriminates. It's all very interesting when you look at these. And when you hold yourself to these, gentlemen, I want to discriminate against standards. I want to be discriminating towards people who have done well or people who have let themselves down. So I can calibrate myself toward things that are good for me and away from things that are bad for me. And without discriminating, how's one supposed to do that? And when you look at the way the system pushes people simply to control them and to control their spending and to control their habits and to make people ineffectual. Yeah, they'll point to the Neanderthal who's discriminating blindly, who barely has a vocabulary, who just hates people for no reason. But I'm talking about intellectually sound and pragmatic discrimination, where you're discriminating against a set of standards, values, excellence, that feeds into you reflecting and being responsible for that discrimination and those values. So I thought it was a very interesting notion that without discriminating, that without discriminating, without having standards of excellence, not just for others, I mean for yourself. So the moment the world tells you you're not allowed to discriminate, somehow permits the lazy to think, oh, well, if I'm not allowed to discriminate, I can just relax and be taken care of. Because once you say, none of us are beholden to any standards, we can all just let go and not discriminate against anyone or anything or any standards or any metrics, then we're just spineless on the floor. And we wonder why many of us have no motivation and no will to actually do anything. Because how can you have a will towards anything when you've eliminated your standards that you could have a will towards? All of these things I find really interesting, gentlemen, because they connect to a lot of the negativity, the malaise, the depression, the lack of will that so many people today, and some of us in our circles, speak about, that many of us feel lost in after, say, the red pill, taking it and having no standards. So yeah, I'd say discrimination is good. It's gotten a bad rap because they imbue discrimination with you nonsensically just hating somebody for no reason at all. No. Rational discrimination is judging things via excellence, via hierarchy, via cause and effect, via reason, and via logic. And we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater in saying we shouldn't discriminate or we shouldn't generalize or we shouldn't look at things. Anyway, it was something I thought was interesting to think about in terms of healthy thinking, gentlemen, in finding out who you are and calibrating your own thoughts in terms of going your own way and actualizing yourself. If you don't discriminate, you have no values. If you love everything, then you love nothing. Discrimination is actually good when it's set to standards that you also have to live by. So it's a reciprocal thing. I cannot expect to discriminate against somebody if I think I can't be discriminated back. That's not fair. I don't subscribe to that. What I subscribe to is discriminating to standards that I myself must live by. That is, I can't be a hypocrite. I think it's something important to think about, gentlemen. Don't shy away from discrimination. Discrimination is good because it belies a set of values you're discriminating with. Go down your own path and think for yourself. I hope this helped. Later, gentlemen. If you appreciate my content and want to say thanks, you can donate via the links below. A massive thank you to the recent donations of people on screen now. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And let me know if you'd rather not have your name shown on screen. And finally, like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of my next video. If you're still not being notified of my videos, I've outlined some steps in the low bar. Thanks, guys.